Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up in this edition, government roll out electronic visa from the first quarter of next year as it works to attract more tourists into the country.
Strongly that by the first quarter of next year, based on what we have been told by Foreign Affairs, we should have and get to a point where we have an e-visa platform.
It's day 2 of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair at the Accra International Conference Center, and already exhibitors are raining discounts on their products for both existing homeowners and potential ones. We are live at the fair for a live update. Plus, on Showbiz today, we shall be talking about the bustling economy that typically emerges around markets and various locations in Accra at night. We have details of these plus many others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and look now at our stories. Government is working to roll out an electronic visa platform in the first quarter of next year. The move is part of measures to deal with the visa acquisition challenges facing tourists and investors aspiring to do business in Ghana. Well, this is coming after the Transport Ministry announced a visa on arrival option for passengers traveling to Accra from December 1 to January 15, 2024. Akwesi Ajiman is Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority and has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
I believe strongly that by the first quarter of next year, based on what we have been told by Foreign Affairs, we should have and get to a point where we have an e-visa platform. Then that straightens the process for a lot of people. Because if you are in California, you want to come to Ghana, you either mail your passport to New York or to Washington. We want to get rid of that, where people can just pick their passport, get onto the flight, and come to Ghana. Now we have that at least for the period of December and January. We want to use that as a test case, see what some of the concerns that the other security agencies had, whether that's going to be tested. So we see this as a pilot. We've done it before last year, but it came in very late, and so it didn't have the sort of impact that we wanted. This year, at least, we have from 1st December to the middle of January for people to come. And I know that given that we have licensed and endorsed over 100 and almost 200 events, I think we will see the numbers based on the fact that the requirements are no longer there. It's not a stumbling block. And we will want to work with other ministries to get to that point where you talk about, like Rwanda has done, like Senegal is doing, where people just pick their passports and they come into the country. We will get there.
Help me with some education. You spoke about the e-visa, all of that things being equal, taken off from the first quarter, holding all those things constant. Help me out. So what is the difference here with respect to this e-visa and i.e. the free visa? Help me out. Okay,
so with an e-visa, what you do is you have a platform where you apply for the visa on the platform. You don't have to send your passport anywhere. You don't have to send anything. You just upload your data. The approval comes. And so it comes either as a barcode or some sticker or whatever it is. So once you have that, you just board the flight. Now, the current system that you have to send your passport for the visa to be put in. But with the e-visa approval, you get approval and then you can board the flight. Now, the airlines will not allow you to board any flight unless they are sure that when you come in, you'll be allowed entry. And that has been the challenge for a lot of people, because I mean, people don't like mailing their passport because they feel like it's out of their hands. But you can't travel. I mean, if you are in, let's say, New Orleans, you can't fly to Washington to go stay in a hotel, wait for another week or two to get a visa. So you are compelled to do that. It comes with further cost. So that's the difference between the two, where you don't have to send your passport physically. You apply online, the visa is approved. You just use whatever barcode or short code or whatever instrument is sent to you, and you board the flight and you come to Ghana.
Still on the sector, the authority says it has made significant progress towards extending reliefs to the hospitality industry. According to the chief executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Agyemang, the authority is targeting the media budget to do that. Now, he adds that his outfit is also close to reaching a deal with the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission to separate tariff systems for sector players.
Before this budget was read, we sent our position paper based on engagements with the private sector to look at how we can look at some of the fee structures and the charges and the levies and everything. And so that is work in progress. I'm very confident that by mid-year budget, I think probably some of the things that we are asking for will come in. But beyond that, we also know that
things that you were asking for some.
Oh, I mean, most of them have asked for example, if we could have a flat rate regime for the sector. That is something that will work for them. I mean, if you have a small hotel and you have to, some of them you don't have the manpower and the capacity to do this input output analysis and all that, so they are advocating a flat rate, and I agree with them. So we've made that proposal. There are some that are looking at how some of the fees that different agencies can be harmonized and consolidated. So that's the discussion we are having with the Ministry of Finance. I mean, it's not just us. We, for example, if you take a budget hotel, we charge 150 cedis a year. So that cannot lead to the cost of a budget hotel going up. 150 cedis a year, that's what we charge as our license fee. But we are minded that we are not the only a regulator. So food, the local assemblies will charge EPA, FDA, and all that. And so as an aggregate, maybe it might not be too much, but even it becomes worrying for a business when every time you have a new regulator coming up to them, data protection and all that. And so we've sent proposals to the Ministry of Finance. We've engaged with the Tourism, Trade and Industry Subcommittee of Parliament. It's headed by Honorable Carlos Ahinkra. The last meeting he was there, he sat in with them, encouraged them to put all their proposals together. And so we'll go to Parliament also and see what can be done. We're looking at the utilities and all that.
That's been the big challenge for the hoteliers.
Yes, and complaining. So yeah, that's we've engaged, and I believe that we've been asked to present a case to Parliament, and that's what we are working on now with some of our partners and consultants to make sure that we go with the data.
All right, so and there is a need for us to interrogate this analysis further. And joining us via studio, I should say, is the president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., for some perspectives on this issue and other developments in the sector. Thanks so much, sir, for joining me on the marketplace. Good to see you in the studios once again. All right, so I'm pretty sure yesterday you saw the tariff announcement by the PURC, some increase in water and a downward review in electricity. Your take?
Well, thanks so much for the opportunity. Of course, it's welcome news. The electricity, is it the electricity that has gone up slightly?
Yes, electricity.
Okay, slightly.
Electricity has been reduced, rather.
Has been reduced slightly, and the water has gone up slightly.
Yeah, by some 0.35%.
Exactly. We are aware that PRC will be adjusting the tariffs every quarter, so we are always ready for it. Now, unlike the past where there was some adjustment and what came was different from what was announced, when we get the information like this in advance, then we prepare for it. So it's welcome news. We don't have any problem.
And I know you've been having some sort of engagement even prior to these announcements and subsequent ones. How fruitful have they been?
Well, we went as far as petitioning the PRC, as you are aware, and even to the Speaker of Parliament. We are yet to hear from the Speaker of Parliament. But the good thing is that we've heard from some sources that the PRC is gradually adjusting the tariffs that the hotels have with water and electricity, especially with regards to the categorization. You know, our major issue was that we were in the non-residential category and we moved to the commercial category, which is why the rate went that high. We understand that they are trying to resolve the matter, and places where we are supposed to be.
Well, one key thing, Akwesi Agyeman.
Maybe they don't want to admit that they are doing the right thing, but
well, we'll certainly see about that. But one other key thing Akwesi Agyeman has been saying is that, COVID-19 is no more. And for that reason, there should be some improvement in the sector. Do you think so? Where do you stand on that?
Well, there is certainly a lot of improvement in the sector, I must admit. Yes, we've been able to overcome the challenges that came with COVID. We've been able to establish our country as a tourism destination of choice. The figures are beginning to show that we are nearing pre-pandemic levels, which is very good. And of course, the GTA is doing its part. It's bid, and the government is doing its bit in terms of making Ghana an attractive destination. So the numbers are coming. December and GH is around the corner. We are going to get more visitors in the system. And for us, that is good for us because tourism thrives on the movement of people. So long as you put measures in place that will attract the people here, fair enough. The challenge is the economic environment in which we operate. That's where sometimes we have a few challenges, and we are trying to draw the government's attention to it so that we'll be able to do business.
I see. And we do know that December is around the corner now, and of course, it's your cuckoo season, so to speak. Now, how are you gearing up towards that? And of course, we know beyond the return is also set to happen.
Well, Pius, the point is that I always say that the hotels are always prepared to do business. It's not just because it's getting to December. But of course, in our traditional system, when you're expecting visitors, you want to put your house in better order. So probably do some extra few things like setting up the Christmas trees and all those things. But the hotels are seriously gearing up for the festivities.
Are they booked yet?
Oh, I'm sure by now when you go to some of the hotels, you may not even get bookings. Yes. Because of the December and GH, people are booking in advance. People are ensuring that their reservations are confirmed so that when they come, they wouldn't have any problem.
I see. And I need you to tell me, so what are your perspectives going into December and what are you looking forward to?
Well, you see, we always have to put tourism in some good perspective. Yeah. It is a driver of economic activities. It is one of the businesses that redistributes income. Okay, and look at it this way. When a tourist leaves his or her country, coming to Ghana, he starts distributing income. Transportation gets its share, the accommodation gets its share, restaurant gets their share. So these things, they do it on behalf of even government, because government typically receives income and redistributes, but tourism, that is on its own. Okay, we are playing our part in terms of the accommodation bit. We are playing our part in terms of receiving guests, providing all the services that we can, and of course, collecting value-added tax, collecting NHIL, get fund, and all that, and then giving it back to government. So we are playing our bit with regards to the development of tourism. And tourism is the way to go. It is an industry that can be linked closely to the economic development of the country. And if you are to model the development of the country on tourism, we'll get far. Because you have to make sure that your health is in check. You have to make sure that your roads are good. You have to make sure that your network is, internet network is okay. You have to make sure that even your education institutions are okay, because there's educational tourism as well.
Very, very important. And I need you to tell me this, year in, year out, we see prices or costs of hotels, keep increasing. This year or this time round, are we to see, some level of reduction in the prices in terms of cost, bearing in mind some tax reliefs have been introduced and what have you?
Ampedu had this one. The point is that, you see, hotels price their services based on the economic environment, based on the taxes they pay, the levies they pay, the tariffs they pay, and of course the salaries and the maintenance and all that, okay? So long as we have a certain level of economic environment, yes, so long as we have a certain economic environment that dictates the rates that we pay. And you see, the hotel industry is a very sensitive one in terms of pricing. If you're not careful, you price yourself out of business. Because there are certain times that people will not come at all. December may appear like, oh, there are a lot of people, but what about January, February, March, April? Those times when the season is a bit lean. Okay, so there's always a need to, but the most important thing is the economic environment. And that's why the GTA boss mentioned it, that we are in talks with them to ensure that we look at the economic variables there. Okay. And I am daring or challenging the new government from 2025. Take tourism, give it a very special dispensation in terms of the taxes and levies and all that, and see the benefits that will accrue instead of the wholesale taxation that we are doing now. Because what it means is that what applies to the hotels is what applies to all other businesses. But if we want to take tourism out and focus on it as a special business entity that requires some special incentives and dispensation, we'll be able to tell the benefits that we can. I'm very sure, I'm certain that the benefits will far outweigh what we have now in the general taxation and levy system that we have.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Edward Akanyimika Jr., for your time here on the market.
My pleasure.
Always a joy having you. All right, let's continue with some other stories. The Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications has expressed worry about the overtaxing of the industry sector. According to the chamber, this has slowed down capital projects. It therefore wants government to take a second look at the numerous taxes imposed on industry players. Ken Ashigbe is the Chief Executive Officer of the chamber and has been speaking at the launch of the 2022 Mobile Industry Transparency Initiative.
For every 1 CD that as revenue that comes to the sector, 47 or let's say 100 CD, 47.69, that's about 47.69%. So that's almost 48% goes back to government in the forms of fees, levies, taxes, and all of that. Interestingly, it came down slightly to 46%, but that is still too much. So then how much money then you leave, for other investments that have to be made and all other payments that you need to do. So, and I think William, some of the suggestions that William brought, we need to get the data to be able to support that, to go back to government and say to them that if we change the form in which you do it, in the long term, this is how it would translate. And, as industry, we would have to live with the fact that we have a 4-year election cycle. So most politicians, they are looking at what they can do in the 4 years so that they can come back to power. So you can't go and be talking that the long-term benefits are this. You still need, so it's one of the things that we need to do. So, for example, when we did this, the e-levy proposals that we set to government, we did some simulations that was showing that if you did the change in that particular manner, it was going to make government not be worse off. So that's a lot more of that would have to be done. And interestingly, for government itself, you remember that CST was 6%, it was moved to 9%, came down to 5%. I've not looked at the data, but when it was moved from 9 to 6%, the levels rather went up. So we need to look at the incidence, the rates at which we are taxing, and where we are placing the taxes to make sure to be able to grow and turn the wheels around. So what we have to do to government is basically do a lot of this talking, but make it data-based. It's the reason why when we do this initiative, we share this data with you, the media, so that you also share it. And then when we engage with government, we would be able to share a better.
All right, so it's now time to talk showbiz. And there is a bustling economy that typically emerges around markets and various locations in Accra at night. It is mostly fueled by young people who patronize outdoor or indoor businesses that operate during the evening and into the wee hours of the morning. Now, in as much as this is fun, Movement of Patrons does this have the potential to aid the country's economy as a whole? Well, cultural journalist Kenneth Awachidakon joins me in studio once again to share some perspective with us on that. Kenneth, first of all, tell me why this topic in the first place.
It's essential because, this conversation we were having earlier with the gentleman from the hospitality space. We are gradually getting into the space where, or the period where there's a lot of festivities happening. There's the December in Ghana, for instance, and a very big part of that movement is that there is a very bustling nightlife industry. So you'd find and people going out to have fun. Some people may, have the time to work and all of that, but during the evenings, for instance, I know a certain gentleman who would like to go to find a very nice, live band to, be there, just get the drink and then observe what's happening. And, it's a source of fun for some people.
And do you think we've created the enough revenue or the avenue for us to leverage on such great potentials out there?
So before that, there have been people, or there are various sectors of this particular movement that has been thriving on their own. For instance, if you go to Accra in the night, you'd find people at restaurants, find people at pubs, you find people at some cinemas, theaters who are, creating the avenue for people to just come in and then have some fun with whatever resources that they have. And it's giving them some sort of outlets for, putting out the kind of stress that they may have gone through during the day. And so in periods like the December, for instance, you're going to see a much higher hike in that, because there are going to be people who will be coming from the diaspora to also come and join in that festivity. So you'd find that there is some movement in there. So it's very important that we have that particular conversation around this period.
Indeed. And are there challenges within the space?
So there are some challenges in there, because there is a lack of data to support some of the activities that go on. For instance, I would like to just draw your attention to the nightlife in London, for instance. And there's a report from 2014 that talks about the fact that some £17 billion were made that year from the contribution in terms of gross value added to the economy, basically. So between £17 billion pounds, I should say, to £26 billion in 2014 alone. And if you look at the fact that some 1.26 million jobs were created around that same period, you realize that it's a very bustling industry that, if we take advantage of in terms of our country, is something that will lead to some economic benefits as well. So if you look at these numbers and you juxtapose it against the fact that we do not have that data here, you realize that the fact that the kind of festivities that go on around this period is not something that happens all year round is a major factor. Also, the fact that there is not a stable loan access facility for businesses that actually create these avenues makes it very difficult for them to also run their facilities as well. So these are very, just a bit of the challenges that I encountered in this particular space.
Talking about challenges, I do know that some of the operators, file their taxes and what have you. Isn't that sufficient enough to gather data?
So there is that as well. But if you look at that and the fact that the system or the space is mostly informal, you'd find that a lot of them are filing their taxes. There are some that are doing that. And then there's another batch that are actually trading in the informal sector. Many a times we've talked about the fact that government has to, expand the tax net instead of focusing on the very little people that are paying the taxes. And this is a very clear example of what you're talking about. And so if government looks at that space and also expand the tax nets in that area, it's something that they'll be able to get them into the tax brackets and also get the adequate data to be able to propel some change in that area as well.
Thank you very much, Kenneth Awachidakon, for your time here on the Marketplace. But I have to take you to the Accra International Conference Center because it's day 2 of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. And my colleague, Jesse Agbapo, is standing by with live updates for that event. Thanks so much, Jesse. And what more can you tell us? What are we missing out on?
Yes, if you can hear me, it's day 2 of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. And let's speak to some exhibitors here. I'm here at the stand of Yoben Security Doors. I have a representative here with me. Please, what's your name?
I'm Delphina Wahima Menta. I'm a marketing and sales executive at Yoben Security Doors. Yeah. So Yoben Security Doors is a company that has been in existence for over 2 decades. We are into sales and installation of premium security doors, both external and internal, and Turkish and Italian models. Our security doors has adjustable frames that can fit to any measurement of your doorway. And then our doors have 14 central locking system. Most of our doors actually have 14 central locking system, and then the single has a mono locking system. And then with our doors, they're fully metal, we have waterproof, and then they're all waterproof doors actually. And then we have bulletproof doors too also. Yeah, we give 10 to 20 years warranty on our doors. Yeah, we do pre-installation checks. When I say pre-installation checks, I mean coming to your site to take measurement to get the exact door to fit your doorway. And then We offer free delivery, free installation. We have our technical installers that do our installation worldwide. Yes. And then we also do post installation services.
All right, so today is day 2 of the fair. How has the experience been like? Are patrons coming to your stand?
Yeah, a lot. Because people are really building these days, and then we sell quality doors. So the moment you get here, you cannot pass by. You can also, we can go through our doors, and then so you see the quality I'm talking about. You can go through our doors. Just come with me, so you see the quality I'm talking about.
My colleague Jesse Agbapo interacting with some exhibitors at the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair happening live at the Accra International Conference Center. And that's how we wrap up the marketplace for today. I am Pius Kujobaka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Do have a lovely afternoon. Bye.